All right, so today we're going to be doing a deep dive into Best Self by Coach Mike Bayer,
Right.
but we're going to be looking at it specifically through the lens of men's mental health.
Okay.
We've got excerpts from the book itself. We've got notes from a survey that he did,
Interesting.
and we've got kind of peek at his client list too.
Yeah,
Pretty impressive.
it is.
Yeah, so we're really on a mission here to uncover those golden nuggets of wisdom that can really help you guys level up, your mental and emotional game.
Yeah, it's really fascinating how Coach Mike connects this idea of aligning with your best self to overall well-being.
Right.
And when we look at men's mental health specifically, it's like there's this added pressure to fit into a certain mold.
Totally. Society often expects men to be strong
Yeah.
and stoic,
Right.
and that can make it tough to express emotions authentically.
Yeah.
It's like they're stuck in a role that doesn't quite fit.
Absolutely. And Coach Mike illustrates this perfectly with the story of Wyatt, this
Right.
high-powered CEO who's battling serious anger issues.
Interesting.
And it turns out his anger was so out of control that it led to a really scary situation with his family.
Whoa, that sounds intense.
It is, and it really highlights the importance of self-awareness,
Right.
especially for men.
Yeah.
Recognizing those areas where you're out of sync with your true self is crucial,
Yeah.
because if you don't address those underlying emotional issues, they can manifest in really destructive ways.
So it's not just about feeling better.
Right.
It's about preventing things from spiraling out of control.
Exactly. And that's where Coach Mike's concept of the anti-self comes in.
Okay.
Think of it as that shadow side of your personality,
Huh.
the negative traits and behaviors that sabotage your efforts to be your best.
Oh, so when you get so caught up in jealousy that it starts to poison your relationships.
Yeah, that's a great example. And Coach Mike uses this example of a woman
Okay.
whose jealousy almost ruined her relationship.
Interesting.
And he personified her jealousy. He called it jalousa. So he actually encourages this idea of personifying these negative traits, giving them a name and an image.
Why would you do that?
It's a powerful technique.
Okay.
By doing that, you're bringing those negative aspects into the light where you can gain control over them.
Okay.
It's like shining a spotlight on those shadowy figures so they can't hide anymore.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this all ties together.
Yeah.
So you become aware of these anti-self traits.
Mm-hmm.
And then how does that actually help improve your mental health?
Well, one of the tools that Coach Mike introduces is the fear inventory quiz.
Okay.
It's a way for men to identify and confront those deep-seated feels that might be holding them back.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a bit like taking a deep dive into your subconscious,
Right.
but ultimately it's about empowerment.
Okay, so that sounds like it could be pretty intense.
It can be, but facing those fears is essential for growth.
Right.
And he doesn't stop there.
Okay.
Coach Mike also challenges the whole idea of a victim mentality, which can be a real trap for men.
Right.
He's all about recognizing your locus of control,
Okay.
understanding that you have the power to influence your own life,
Got it.
even when things get tough.
So instead of blaming external circumstances, you're taking responsibility for your choices and their impact on your well-being.
Exactly. And one of the simplest yet most effective tools he recommends is using self-affirmations.
What you mean, standing in the mirror and saying,
Yeah.
I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me?
Well, it can be as simple as that.
Okay.
While it might sound a little cheesy, repeating positive statements about yourself, even if you don't fully believe them at first,
Right.
can actually shift your mindset and boost your self-esteem.
Interesting.
And for men especially, affirmations like, I am strong, I am capable, I'm worthy of love, can be incredibly powerful.
It's like a mental pep talk to
Yeah,
remind yourself of your worth,
exactly.
especially when those negative thoughts start creeping in.
Precisely. And in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with information and pressure from all sides,
Right.
it's easy to get overwhelmed and lose sight of those positive aspects.
Totally. Coach Mike actually tells this story about a country music artist
Yeah.
who got sucked into negativity online.
Yeah.
And it ultimately had a really negative impact on his career.
Yeah. That story highlights the importance of being mindful of the content you consume.
Right.
Coach Mike calls it turning down the noise, and it's essential for maintaining mental well-being,
Yeah.
especially for men who might already be struggling with self-doubt or negative self-talk.
Right.
Curate your information sources, focus on the positive, and don't be afraid to disconnect from things that bring you down.
So it's like creating a mental filter to block out all the negativity and focus on what truly matters.
Exactly. And speaking of things that matter, Coach Mike also emphasizes the personal life sphere.
Okay.
Now, this is something that's often neglected, especially by men.
So what exactly does that mean?
It's about prioritizing self-care, making time for those things that recharge your batteries.
Okay,
Things like sleep, stress management, hobbies, passions.
got it.
They're not indulgences. They're essential for well-being.
Yeah.
And for men who are often taught to prioritize work and responsibilities above all else,
Yeah.
this can be a real game changer.
I love that he uses this example of a woman named Deborah,
Yeah,
who, despite living a life of luxury, felt completely empty.
right.
And it was only when she started leaving her apartment and engaging with the world around her
Yeah.
that she rediscovered her passion for life.
It's a powerful reminder that even small changes can have a profound impact on our mental health.
Right.
Sometimes it's about taking a step back from the hustle and bustle and reconnecting with those things that bring us joy.
Okay, this next part really surprised me.
Okay.
Coach Mike talks about the gut-brain connection,
Yeah.
this link between the bacteria in your gut
Right.
and your mental well-being.
Yeah, it might sound strange, but the gut microbiome plays a huge role in mood regulation. He even mentions psychobiotics, which are basically probiotics that can influence your mood.
So what we eat can actually impact how we feel.
Absolutely. And that's why it's important to pay attention to what you're putting into your body.
Right.
It's another piece of the puzzle when it comes to improving your mental health.
So we've talked about self-awareness,
Uh-huh.
the anti-self,
Right.
fear victim mentality,
Yeah.
self-affirmations,
Yeah.
even gut health.
Right.
What else can men do to strengthen their mental health?
Building on that, Coach Mike emphasizes the importance of building a strong support system, something he calls your life team.
Okay.
Having people you can rely on,
Right.
people you can be vulnerable with, is absolutely critical,
Yeah.
especially for men who might feel societal pressure to go it alone.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
So how does Coach Mike suggest building this life team?
Right.
What does that actually look like?
Well, he breaks it down into different types of support that men need.
Okay.
Emotional, practical, and professional.
Right.
It's about having guys you can talk to about what you're going through.
Right.
People who can offer practical help when you need it,
Right.
and professionals who can provide guidance and expertise.
So it's about having a well-rounded team,
Exactly.
not just relying on one person for everything.
Exactly. And he encourages you to think about who's currently on your team
Okay.
and identify those areas where you might need to build stronger connections or seek out new ones.
This has been a truly insightful deep dive so far.
Mm.
What stands out to you from everything we've discussed?
What's really resonating with me is how Coach Mike emphasizes the power of authenticity,
Right.
especially for men.
Yeah.
It's about shedding those layers of societal expectation and connecting with who you truly are.
Right.
That's the foundation for building a fulfilling life, both for yourself and the people around you.
I completely agree. It's like he's giving us permission to take off the masks and just be ourselves.
Right.
And in doing so, we create space for deeper, more meaningful connections.
Exactly. And those connections are essential for well-being. Now, speaking of connections,
Okay.
let's dive into Coach Mike's insights on building a life team.
Okay, let's unpack that. He talks about different types of people who should be on this team, right?
Right. He breaks it down into 4 main categories:
Okay.
mentors, champions, peers, and cheerleaders.
Okay.
Each plays a unique role in supporting your growth and well-being.
So mentors are those wise, experienced folks who can offer guidance, right?
Exactly. They've been there, done that,
Right.
and can offer valuable insights based on their own experiences.
Right.
Champions are those who believe in you, even when you doubt yourself.
Uh-huh.
They see your potential and push you to reach for your goals.
Okay. I can see how those two roles would be super valuable. What about peers and cheerleaders?
Peers are those who are on a similar journey.
Okay.
They can relate to your struggles, offer support, and provide a sense of camaraderie. Cheerleaders are your biggest fans, offering unconditional love and support, celebrating your wins, and offering comfort during those inevitable setbacks.
It sounds like having a mix of all these different types of people on your team is
Yeah.
important. But how do you go about actually finding these people?
Coach Mike provides a series of questions to help you assess your current relationships.
Okay.
It's like taking inventory of your support system
Uh-huh.
and seeing who's truly in your corner.
That sounds like a good exercise.
Right.
What kind of questions does he suggest?
He has you consider: who do you go to for advice when you're facing a tough decision?
Okay.
Who celebrates your successes with genuine enthusiasm?
Nature.
Who challenges you to grow and step outside of your comfort zone?
Okay.
And who offers a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on when you need it?
Right.
These are the people who are playing those key roles in your life.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing who's already there for you
Right.
and who might be missing from your life. But building a life team isn't just about taking
Exactly. Coach Mike emphasizes the importance of reciprocity in these
Wow.
relationships. It's about giving back, being a good mentor, champion, peer, and cheerleader for the people in your life.
right?
It's about creating a network of mutual support and encouragement.
That makes sense. It's
Mhm.
about building genuine two-way relationships, not just looking for people to fill a specific role.
Yeah.
Now I imagine even with the best of intentions, conflicts are bound to arise in any relationship.
Absolutely. And Coach Mike doesn't shy away from that. He offers some really helpful insights into how to navigate those tough conversations,
Okay.
especially when it comes to people on your life team.
What does he suggest?
He encourages open and honest communication,
Okay.
setting clear expectations, and a willingness to compromise. He
Gotcha.
also emphasizes the importance of forgiveness.
Right.
Holding on to anger and resentment only hurts you in the end.
Right.
It's about letting go of past hurts and choosing to move forward with compassion and understanding.
That's so important, but it can also be really challenging.
It definitely can be. And sometimes, even after putting in the effort,
Right.
you might realize that a particular relationship is no longer serving you.
You mean like when you've tried to communicate and work through things,
Right.
but it's just not working?
Right. And in those cases, Coach Mike says it's okay to make the difficult decision to step back from that relationship. Even if it's someone who's been on your team for a long time,
Right.
it's about prioritizing your own well-being
Yeah.
and making sure that you're surrounded by people who uplift and support you.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not about settling for unhealthy or unsupportive relationships just because they've been around for a while. But how do you know when it's time to let go? That can be a tough call.
It can be. Coach Mike actually provides a really helpful tool called the Life Team Assessment.
What?
It's a worksheet where you can evaluate your current relationships
Hmm.
and really dig deep into the quality of those connections.
That sounds incredibly useful. So it's not just about identifying who's on your team, but also assessing the health of those relationships.
Exactly. And through this assessment, you might realize that some relationships need a little TLC,
Right.
while others might need to be reevaluated entirely. But the good news is that he also provides strategies for strengthening those connections.
Like what? Give me some examples.
He encourages things like reaching out more often,
Yeah.
expressing your appreciation,
Gotcha.
and being more intentional about carving out time for those important people.
Right.
He also emphasizes the value of seeking out new connections that can enrich your life.
So it's not just about maintaining existing relationships,
Right.
but also being open to forming new ones.
Exactly. Whether it's joining a new club, volunteering in your community,
Yeah.
or simply striking up a conversation with someone new, putting yourself out there can lead to some amazing connections.
I can see how all of this ties back to men's mental health. Having a strong support system is crucial for navigating life's challenges and for staying mentally and emotionally healthy.
Hmm.
But building a life team like this sounds like a lot of work.
It's definitely an ongoing process, but it's one of the most rewarding investments you can make. Think of it like building a house.
Okay.
You need a solid foundation, strong supports, and a well-designed structure to create something that can stand the test of time.
Okay, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So it's not about expecting this amazing support system to magically appear overnight.
Right.
It takes time, effort, and intention.
Precisely. It's an ongoing process of cultivating relationships, setting boundaries, and communicating effectively. But the payoff is huge.
Now, Coach Mike also talks a lot about best self-parenting in the book. Is there anything there that's particularly relevant to men and their mental health?
Absolutely. In fact, this is a topic that often gets overlooked when we talk about men's mental health. Coach Mike's approach to parenting really challenges some traditional gender roles and expectations that can negatively impact both fathers and their children.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
He emphasizes the importance of fathers being actively involved in all aspects of their children's lives, not just the stereotypical rough and tumble play or discipline.
So it's about being emotionally present and engaged.
Exactly. Coach Mike argues that this type of involved fatherhood is not only beneficial for children,
All right.
but it's also crucial for men's own mental health.
How so?
Well, traditional masculinity often emphasizes stoicism and emotional detachment,
Right.
which can lead to isolation and difficulty forming close relationships.
Yeah.
By encouraging fathers to be more emotionally open and nurturing,
Go.
Coach Mike challenges those norms and creates space for men to connect with their children on a deeper level.
So it's not just about being a good dad in the traditional sense, but it's actually about redefining what it means to be a father in a way that's beneficial for everyone involved.
Right. And this can have a ripple effect on men's mental health. Studies have shown that fathers who are actively involved in their children's lives tend to have lower rates of depression and anxiety,
Interesting.
higher levels of self-esteem, and stronger relationships overall.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So being a more engaged and emotionally present father can actually improve a man's mental well-being.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just the father-child relationship.
Yeah.
By breaking down those traditional gender roles, men can feel more comfortable expressing their emotions and seeking support when they need it,
Right.
which are crucial components of good mental health.
So Coach Mike's approach to best self-parenting is really about empowering both fathers and their children to embrace a more authentic and fulfilling way of life.
Exactly. And it's a powerful reminder that personal growth and positive change can happen at any stage of life,
Right.
even after becoming a parent.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about building a life team, navigating relationships, and redefining fatherhood. It
Yeah.
seems like all of this is intertwined with the core concept of authenticity.
You hit the nail on the head. Authenticity is the thread that ties it all together. It's
Yeah.
about being true to yourself,
Right.
even when it's challenging or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's about shedding those masks and showing up in the world as your most genuine self.
Yeah.
And that's what Coach Mike's best self is all about.
I love that. It's about embracing who you are, flaws and all,
Right.
and striving to be the best version of yourself, not for anyone else, but for you.
Right.
And that's a powerful message, especially for men who might be struggling to find their place in a world that often tells them who they should be.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up part two of our deep dive, I
That
want
we
to shift gears a bit and talk about something that's often seen as a taboo subject, especially for men: vulnerability.
Yeah, listen. Why is vulnerability so important, especially in the context of men's mental health?
Well, traditional masculinity often equates vulnerability with weakness.
Right.
Men are often taught to suppress their emotions, to tough it out, and to never show any signs of weakness.
And we all know how damaging that can be. Bottling up emotions can lead to all sorts of problems down the road.
Exactly. But Coach Mike challenges this harmful notion. He argues that vulnerability is not a weakness, but rather a strength.
Okay.
It's about having the courage to be open and honest about your feelings,
Right.
even when it feels uncomfortable.
So how does he suggest men tap into that vulnerability?
He emphasizes the importance of creating safe spaces where men can feel comfortable sharing their experiences and emotions without fear of judgment.
Right.
And this starts with challenging those ingrained beliefs about masculinity.
It's about redefining what it means to be a man in a way that embraces emotional honesty and authenticity.
Exactly. And it's about surrounding yourself with people who support and encourage that vulnerability.
So building that strong life team we talked about earlier is crucial.
Absolutely. Having people you can trust, people who will listen without judgment, is essential for creating that safe space.
What are some practical steps men can take to cultivate more vulnerability in their lives?
Coach Mike suggests starting small.
Okay.
It could be something as simple as sharing a personal story with a trusted friend or family member,
Uh-huh.
expressing your appreciation for someone,
Okay.
or admitting that you're struggling with something.
It's about taking those baby steps to break down those walls and allow yourself to be seen.
Right. And he also emphasizes the importance of self-compassion. Men are often their own harshest critics.
Yeah, that inner critic can be brutal.
It can. So Coach Mike encourages men to treat themselves with the same kindness and understanding that they would offer to a friend.
It's about recognizing that it's okay to not be okay sometimes.
Exactly. And it's about giving yourself permission to feel those emotions, to process them, and to seek support when you need it.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
Hmm.
What are your key takeaways so far?
What's really sticking with me is the power of redefining masculinity in a way that embraces vulnerability and authenticity.
Right.
It's about creating space for men to be their full selves without shame or judgment.
Yeah,
And it's about recognizing that strength and vulnerability are not mutually exclusive.
I couldn't agree more. It's about breaking free from those limiting beliefs and embracing a more holistic and fulfilling way of being a man.
Now, before we move on to our final segment,
Okay.
I want to touch on one more crucial aspect of Coach Mike's teachings: finding your purpose.
Okay, this is something that a lot of people, men and women alike, struggle with. How does Coach Mike address this?
He emphasizes that finding your purpose isn't about some grand predetermined plan.
Okay.
It's about aligning your actions with your values.
Right.
And using your unique talents and passions to make a positive impact on the world.
So it's not necessarily about finding your dream job or achieving some massive goal.
Right. It's about finding meaning and fulfillment in your everyday life.
Okay.
Coach Mike encourages men to ask themselves some key questions.
Okay.
What are you passionate about? What
Yeah.
brings you joy?
Okay.
What are your unique skills and talents?
Gotcha.
And how can you use those to make a difference, even in small ways?
So it's about identifying what lights you up and then finding ways to incorporate that into your life, both personally and professionally.
Exactly. And it's a journey of self-discovery that evolves over time. Your purpose might shift and change as you grow and learn.
That's reassuring. It takes the pressure off having to figure it all out right now.
Right, and it's about embracing the process, trusting your intuition, and being open to new possibilities. Coach Mike emphasizes that purpose isn't something you find, it's something you cultivate.
It's about taking action, experimenting, and being willing to adjust course as you go.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing is that when you're living in alignment with your purpose,
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like work. It feels like a natural expression of who you are.
It's about finding that sweet spot where passion, talent, and values intersect.
Precisely. And that's when you truly start to thrive. Now, Coach Mike also acknowledges that finding your purpose can be challenging,
Yeah.
especially in a society that often prioritizes external success over internal fulfillment.
Right. So how does he suggest navigating those external pressures and staying true to yourself?
He encourages men to redefine success on their own terms. It's not about chasing someone else's definition of happiness,
Okay.
but rather creating a life that feels authentic and meaningful to you.
So it's about tuning out that external noise and focusing on what truly matters to you.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that true fulfillment comes from within, not from external validation or material possessions.
I love that. It's about shifting your focus from what you should be doing to what you truly want to do.
Right. And it's about having the courage to pursue those things even if they don't fit the conventional mold.
So it's about embracing your individuality
Yeah,
and creating a life that reflects your unique passions and purpose.
exactly. Now, before we wrap up this segment, I want to share one of my favorite quotes from Coach Mike about finding your purpose.
Okay.
He says, "Your purpose is not something you find, it's something you create.
Okay.
It's the intersection of your passions, your talents, and your values. It's the unique contribution you make to the world simply by being you."
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that each of us has something special to offer the world. And it's up to us to uncover that purpose and to share it with the world.
Now, in our final segment, we'll bring all of these threads together and explore how men can take action to start living as their best selves.
Sounds good to me. I'm excited to dive into those practical steps and provide our listeners with a roadmap for creating a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Best Self by Coach Mike Bayer.
Right.
We've talked about, understanding the anti-self, the power of vulnerability, finding your purpose.
Yeah, now it's time to put all of these pieces together and really equip you guys with those actionable steps to start living as your best self.
Think of this as your personalized toolkit for like upgrading your mental and emotional well-being.
Exactly. So let's recap some key takeaways and then we'll dive into those action steps.
Sounds good.
First and foremost, it all begins with self-awareness. Taking that deep dive into your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors is crucial.
It's like holding up a mirror to your soul and really taking stock of what you see.
Exactly. And then recognizing those areas where you might be out of sync with your true self. Coach Mike encourages us to ask ourselves some tough questions. What are your core values? What are your strengths and weaknesses?
What are you truly afraid of? What limiting beliefs are holding you back? What are those pesky negative patterns that keep popping up in your life?
Yeah, once you have a clearer understanding of yourself, you can start making adjustments to align with your best self. And remember that powerful concept of the anti-self we talked about earlier.
Those negative traits and behaviors that seem to sabotage our best efforts.
Right. Coach Mike reminds us that recognizing these traits is the first step to overcoming them. He encourages us to personify those negative traits, to give them a name and an image.
I remember you comparing it to shining a spotlight on those shadowy figures.
Yeah, it's a great analogy because by bringing those negative aspects into the light, you can gain control over them. They can't hide in the shadows anymore.
Right, and it's a reminder that you are not defined by those negative aspects.
Exactly. Now, another key takeaway is the importance of taking responsibility for your own life,
Uh-huh.
recognizing your locus of control,
Right.
and understanding that you have the power to influence your own choices and outcomes.
It's about shifting from a victim mentality to an empowered mindset, taking ownership of your actions and their consequences.
Right. And remember, Coach Mike also emphasizes the importance of building a strong support system, your life team.
Right. Surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, who challenge you, and who love you unconditionally.
Yeah, it's a reminder that you don't have to go it alone.
Right.
Now let's dive into some actionable steps you can take.
Okay, give us the roadmap.
First, identify one area of your life where you'd like to make a change.
It could be your relationships, your career, your health, your spirituality, anything that feels out of alignment.
Right. Then set a specific, measurable goal for yourself in that area. Make sure it's something you have control over and that aligns with your values.
So don't set yourself up for failure with a goal that's too vague or dependent on things outside your control.
Exactly. Next, break that goal down into smaller, more manageable steps.
This makes it feel less overwhelming, like climbing a mountain one step at a time.
That's a great way to put it. And then create a plan of action outlining the specific steps you'll take to achieve each mini goal. Be sure to set a timeline for yourself with deadlines for each step.
Deadlines can be motivating, even if you have to adjust them along the way.
Absolutely. And one of the most important things you can do is create accountability.
Don't keep your goals a secret.
Exactly. Share your goal with a trusted friend, family member, or even a therapist, and ask them to hold you accountable. Check in with them regularly to report on your progress and get support.
Having someone in your corner can make a huge difference.
It really can. And don't forget to celebrate those successes along the way. Recognizing those wins, big or small, will keep you motivated and inspired to keep moving forward.
It's like giving yourself little rewards along the path to keep those positive vibes flowing.
Mm.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought from Coach Mike himself.
Okay.
He says, living as your best self is not a destination, it's a journey. Embrace the process, be patient with yourself, and never stop learning and growing.
And I couldn't agree more. It's about showing up each day and striving to be the best version of yourself, making conscious choices that align with your values and goals, and recognizing that we're all works in progress.
So keep exploring those concepts from best self. Keep taking those small but courageous steps toward creating a life that's truly aligned with your best self. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep diving deep.
See